Today we're going to do a little workout that's a combination of decompressing any stuck stress or tension that lives in your upper and lower body, plus a little bit of strength work to help you feel grounded and centered and strong. So this is a melt roller. You can use any other roller, but I like this one because it's a little bit smaller and it's a bit softer, which really feels so good for the tissue. Before we begin, I just want you to lie down on your back and we're going to get connected to our body and just create an awareness of where stuck stress likes to live. So on your back, palms to ceiling, and then just close your eyes. And we want to look at the three places that stuck stress likes to live. The first place is in your shoulder girdle. So just noticing where your shoulder blades are related to the mat. Notice if ideally your shoulder blades are flat and grounded on the mat, or if you feel like you're tipped a little bit towards the top of the shoulder blade. Also notice any difference between the right and left side of the shoulder blade. You can also turn your head to the right and left and notice if there's any restrictions from one side to the other or differences from one side to the other. If we have stuck stress in the shoulder girdle, it can create tension in our neck. And come back to center. The second is in our diaphragm, and here you want to notice how much of your rib wall is on the mat. Ideally, from about below your bra line and up, your ribs will feel grounded down to the mat. If you have stuck stress in the diaphragm, rather than there being a low back curve, it'll feel like there is a whole back curve, and you'll feel that your ribs are lifted up off the mat. Now just take a breath in and exhale, and notice how the breath feels. Does it feel like it's easy to take a full breath, or maybe you feel like there's some restrictions within that? The third place is in your pelvis. So ideally you're weighted on two butt cheeks, but if there's stuck stress in the pelvis, that will leave you feeling like you're a little more tipped over towards your tailbone. It also maybe have you feel like you're just sitting on your bone, your sacrum, as opposed to on the glutes. Ideally, the back of your thighs, they're massive, they're weighted to the floor. And the back of your knees are spaces. They'll be lifted a little bit off the floor. And then notice where you're weighted on your heels. Ideally, your toes are pointed to where the wall and the ceiling meet. So you'd be a little weighted to a bit to the outside part of the heel. But if there's stuck stress in your pelvis, it's going to affect how your legs and your feet are with the body. And you might notice that more one leg, ankle, or both are dropped right off to the side where almost your ankle bone is touching the mat. Or your toes are just pointed straight up towards the ceiling. And then finally bring your focus back to center and divide your body into right and left. And here we want to look at how efficiently our autopilot is functioning. And so here, divide your body into right and left. Just notice if you feel like you're equally weighted through the two sides of your body, or if you feel like you're a little heavier weighted from one side to the other. So I'm going to have you bend your knees. Take a focused breath in. As you exhale, you're going to roll over onto your side and up to a seated position. So we're going to do a little upper body compression just to release any stuck stress that might be in your shoulder girdle or your diaphragm. And you're just going to lie on the roller and just go to where the bottom of the shoulder blades are. You can reach up and just punch to the ceiling, and you can feel if the lower shoulder blades are tapping. Next, we want to get some stability through our core to support the low back. You're going to lift your pelvis, tuck your pelvis, and place it down on the ground. Take your hands behind your head, relax your shoulders, and let your head be heavy onto your hands. Keeping your bottom ribs still. As you inhale, you're going to lengthen back. And what we want to notice is just what length is available in your body here. We're not trying to arch back over the roller, but instead just feel that length in the rib cage. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, just side bend to the right, and pause there for another breath, and just breathe into the left rib cage, and just notice how that feels, if there's ease in the breath or any restriction, and then you come back to center. Then you're going to side bend to the left, take a breath into the right rib cage. Again, notice how that feels, if the breath flows easily or if it feels like it's a little bit restricted, and come back to center. Step your feet out just a little bit so you can slide down to the top of your shoulder blade, and then you're going to lift your pelvis, just a little hover, and you're going to start your glide. Now we're going to do a glide up and down the entire span of your shoulder blade. As you're gliding, focus on pressing into the front of the roller. Notice I'm a little bit scooped and curling forward. And we want to keep the pressure on the roller the same in both directions. As you're gliding up and down your shoulder blades, notice if one part of your shoulder blade feels like there's a little bit more tenderness there. And so then you're going to just tighten up the glide and bump up against that spot. And just do that for a few breaths. And then we're going to place your pelvis down and then just compress that one vertebra that's on the roller into the roller and just go into a little twisting action here. And then we're going to pause, take a focused breath in, and exhale. Good. Now we're going to reach your right elbow towards the ceiling. That's going to tip you over to the inside edge of the shoulder blade. Then you simply let your pelvis hover by pressing into your feet. And again, you want to glide up and down the entire span of the inner part of your shoulder blade. Again, if you find a spot that feels a little tender and you want to work on that, just make the glide a little bit smaller where you bump up against that tenderness, like you're trying to press it away. And then you bring your pelvis down and you can fan this elbow. Good. And then you wait. Take a breath in and exhale. So then we'll go to the other side. I'm just going to come back down the mat a little bit here. So then you reach the right elbow up towards the ceiling, tips you over to the right shoulder blade, hover your pelvis, and then just start your glide up and down. Again, check that you're pressing into the front of the roller, that your glide pressure is the same when you press up and down. The consistency of the pressure is what we're after. And that you're nice and relaxed through your head. Let your head be heavy and supported by your hands. Find a spot, tighten up the glide, place your pelvis down, and then fan your elbow. And then just wait. Take a breath in and exhale. Good. And then come back to center. So now we're just going to do a little rinse. So if you've moved up your mat, you can slide down. We're going to come onto our center again. Slide down so you're at the top of your shoulder blades. You want to hover your pelvis, be in a little tuck, and you want to press into the front of the roller and slide until your pelvis touches down. Reset your feet. Bring yourself back down. And again. So fluid flow moves up the front of the body and down the back. It's just how it works as it relates to our fluid flow system in our body. So when we press against the roller, we're moving this new fluid that we have down our body to make it a whole body treatment. And so we press, good, and then we come back. Excellent. So finish where you're just at the bottom of your shoulder blades here. Give yourself a little tuck. Keep your bottom ribs still, elbows wide, and now just lengthen through your ribs again. And just notice if it feels like you've got a little bit more space. Side bend to the left, breathe into your right rib cage. See if you feel like there's any more movement available. Come back to center. Side bend to the right, take a breath into your left rib cage, and again, notice if there's any more space. And then come up. So that's just a mini version of just getting a little bit of hydration into the upper body. So now we're going to keep our roller behind us, and we're going to use our hands to help sit up on top of the roller. You're going to place your fingertips forward, a nice long spine, and we're just going to start to glide forward and back on your sits bones. Here, what you can notice is if one side feels more tender than the other. Also notice if you're gliding evenly on your sits bones. This gives us some information if your pelvis is sitting nice and level, or maybe if it's got a little bit of just sitting a little bit askew. So you may notice you're rolling over one sits bone and not the other, or you might notice that it's going clunk clunk. So it's just an observation. Finish with your sits bones on the feet side of your roller. Tuck through your abdominals so the weight of your pelvis is on the top of the roller. And then just very lightly place one hand down about as wide as the roller, fingers pointing to the side, and then your other hand comes down. So you relax through your neck and shoulders and your elbows, where again, the weight of your body is primarily your pelvis on your roller. And we're just going into our tail triangle glide. So if you've been sitting and working and your low back is feeling a little bit tight, this is really nice to just get some hydration into the pelvic area, your glutes and your low back. You're going to just tip your knees over to the right and swirl around on the right side of your sacrum and your glutes. Good, nice steady breath. And then you're going to tip your legs over to the left and do the same thing. So you're just exploring, warming up the tissue. We're going to stay on this side and sit up a little bit and bring your hand down in front, or you can place it on your knee. But we want you more on top of the roller here, and just start gliding around your sits bone and your deep hip. And you're just exploring, you're looking for any points of tenderness, and if you find one, you're just going to pause there and just bump up against that with your glide. And then you're going to pause and then just fan this hip open and closed. And then you wait, you take a breath in and exhale. And then we go over to the other side. So again, you can have one set of fingers behind, one set in front. You're also welcome to place your hand on your knee. Let this hip fall out. And again, you want to look around the area surrounding your sits bones, also around your deep hip. So if you find your glutes are often feeling tight, or your hip is feeling sore, or your hamstrings are often feeling tight, this is a really great way to get some hydration and therefore release into that tissue. Pick a spot. There's a good one. Tighten up the glide. And then you pause and you just open and close that hip for what we call your shear. Good. And then you wait. You take a breath in. And then you exhale. Good. So we're going to come back over to the left. I'm going to come onto the side hip. I'm going to come down onto my forearm. And I'm going to turn onto my side. My bottom leg is going to be lengthened. My top leg knee is up with my foot planted. Nice and relaxed again through the shoulder. I want most of my weight on my hip, and I'm driving the movement primarily from this leg. And now I'm on what's called my side hip. So I don't want to be on my thigh or on my waist. I actually want to be on the side of my pelvis. You can tip forward a little bit. See how that feels. You can tip back a little bit. See how that feels. And then if there's a spot that feels a little more tender, then you're going to stay in that area, tighten up the glide. Then you're going to hold this leg straight and you're going to rock forward and back on your hip. And then you wait, take a breath in and exhale. Nice. And then you can come up and we'll come over to the other side. So you're going to straighten the leg out. You're going to come down onto your forearm and roll onto your side. So again, you want to be on the side of your hip, on your pelvis. You're going to be above your greater trochanter, which is that hip bone, and you're going to be just below the top of your pelvis. Tip a little forward, tip a little back, go exploring, see how things feel. When you find a spot that feels a little tender, tighten up that glide. And then you stop, straighten the bottom leg, and just rock forward and back on your hip. And everything we do in this is just enough for 3 breaths. Then we wait, take a breath in, and exhale. Good. And then we come down. Wonderful. So hopefully that helps you feel a little warmed up. So we can do a few motion exercises that require both mobility and strength. So we're going to sit in this, it's called a mermaid stance in the Pilates world, with your hand lightly onto the roller. We're going to take a breath in, this arm comes up, keep shoulders soft, and as you glide out, I'm coming into a side bend. But what you want to make sure of is that you're keeping a portion of your body weight on your hips. I'm thinking about my outside hip reaching down to my heel. So when I tilt over, I'm not suspending from my shoulder. I'm using my ribs. I'm thinking of my bottom ribs, lifting my top ribs up, and then I return. And one more time, up and over, my bottom ribs lift my top ribs, so I'm nice and light in my upper body, and then I come up. This time you're going to turn. Now, if it feels like too much of a rotation, you can just shift your hips a little bit, place both hands onto the roller, and just lengthen forward. And then when you come up, lift your chest. Nice and open through your shoulders, broad through your collarbone. Lengthen forward and lift your chest. Now, in the next two, when we come up, you're going to round your back. So you lengthen forward and round your back and lengthen forward and round your back. So this time lengthen forward, rotate to face forward again into your side stretch and bring it all the way up. Good, we're going to change legs and change sides. So you have your hand lightly on the roller, nice and easy through your upper body. Inhale, and as I come over again, I'm not thinking about loading my shoulder. I actually want to deload by using the bottom ribs to lift the top ribs up, and then you come in. Up and over, bottom ribs, lift your top rib up, and then you come back. Finding your breath, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Good. Turn your upper body. Again, if it's too much, you can shift your hips a little bit so that you can get your shoulders square to your hands. Inhale to lengthen forward. Exhale, lift your chest to come up, nice and broad through your collarbone. Inhale to roll forward. Exhale, lift your chest. This time we'll round your back twice as you come up. Lengthen forward, round your back, lengthen forward, and round your back up. This time lengthen forward, step your back arm to the middle, turn to your side, lift your ribs so your shoulder is not compromised, it feels nice and safe, and then you bring it all the way up to stand. Good. So we're going to lie on our back and just get the glutes engaged. So bringing the roller underneath the back of your thighs, you're going to lift your pelvis and bring the roller right under the center of your sacrum. You want to make sure that the top of your pelvis is on the back side of the roller so that you're not on the low back. And then when you bring your knees up with your heels relaxed to your seat, if you were to draw a line down the side of your thigh, your greater trochanter would be right over top the center of the roller. So let's just bring your hands in close to your body. Notice my thighs are tilted a little bit towards me. And I've got a little bit of engagement through my abdominals so my ribs stay stable. And I'm just shifting side to side. Now I've got my hands tucked in close to my hips so that I don't go too far. This is called an SI joint shear. So as I'm rocking side to side, I'm bringing hydration into my SI joints. We're going to pause on one side and you're going to circle slow and easy your bottom hip. And I'm just keeping on that edge of the SI joint or just on the edge of my sacrum. And then I'm just going to do a little march with my legs. And then I wait, take a breath in and exhale to come back. And then I tip over to the other side. I'm going to circle my bottom hip. Feels so good to just get that compression deep in the glutes and the side hip area. And then we can do a little march. And then we hold the legs and we wait. Take a breath in and exhale, come back to center. I'm going to place my right foot down and I want to plant my toe on the floor. Make sure the roller is just sitting underneath your pelvis. Interlock your fingers around your left shin and relax your shoulders. We want to make sure this knee is staying centered with the hip, so press into your big toe to help create that position. And then inhale. As you exhale, you're going to tuck your pelvis. Our focus is finding some tensional length in this right hip and thigh. So as I exhale and I tuck, I'm gently drawing my left knee to my nose, but I really want to focus on my right knee reaching over my toes such that I'm feeling this beautiful opening through this front of thigh. Ease up, take a breath, check that your shoulders are relaxed. Feel this knee is in line with the center of hip as you press into your big toe, and as you exhale, you tuck. And you're reaching your right knee over your toes as you bring your left knee to your nose. Bring the right leg up, place your left foot down, press into your left big toe, relax your shoulders, make sure that your hips and shoulders are square. Take a breath in. As you exhale, you want to tuck your pelvis
And the drawing in of your right knee towards your nose helps to accentuate the tuck as you lengthen your left knee over your toes. Keep pressing into that left big toe to make sure your knee's not drifting to the side. Take another breath in and exhale. And then bring it back to center. So now we're going to go into an exercise called mini bridge, and we're looking at getting a strong activation, particularly in the lower fibers of your glutes. So place your hands right on the gluteal fold where the lower buttocks and the hamstrings meet. And I just want you to activate that area. So as you squeeze the lower fibers of your glutes, you can get that sense how they're activating in towards your sits bones. Notice your inner thigh becomes involved. Good, and then relax. Now, we want to make sure that your pelvis is weighted on top of the roller, but your ribs are heavy. So I'm not tucked, I'm what we call tilted. My feet are light, so I'm heavy in my pelvis and I'm light in my feet. Now I'm going to take a breath in. I keep my hands on the roller just to help the roller stay stable. As I exhale, I want to switch that, become heavy in my feet and light in my pelvis. On my next breath, I want to push my heels away from my seat, narrow my knee angle, and think of that activation of the lower fibers of the glutes. And then I'm going to lift one more time, but it's more of my knees reaching over my toes and using my glutes to create the lift. Focus is opening through the front of the hip. So we no longer have this crease, but instead we have this length all the way from your pelvis out your knees. Take a breath in and exhale, lower down. Now, if you felt a hamstring cramp, we need to focus more on getting your glutes engaged. What can also help is that you can lift your toes and just gently turn them in, and that'll get a little more activation of the hip in the inner thigh. So, heavy pelvis, light feet. Inhale. As you exhale, heavy in your feet, light in your pelvis. Take another breath in. You'll push your heels away from your seat, narrow your knee angle, activate the lower fibers of your glutes, and focus on lengthening your knees over your toes. Ribs and chest are heavy, nice and soft. Breath in and exhale to come down. So we are putting this pause in those two places intentionally. So let's do that again. Heavy pelvis, light feet. Breath in. As you exhale, you want to go heavy feet, light pelvis. Then take another breath in. As you exhale, push your heels away from your seat. It's more of a thought than a thing. Activate your inner thigh and use your lower glutes to lift. Pause there. Can you feel the opening of the hips and the activation of your glutes, yet you're soft through your chest and ribs? Breath in and exhale to come down. So now what we'll do is what we call 4 for the pattern. No pause. So we put everything together right away. As you exhale, you want to go heavy feet as you push your heels away, narrow your knee angle, and engage the lower fibers of your glutes to lift. And then you inhale to come down. Again, heavy pelvis, light feet. As you exhale, press into your feet, push your feet away from your seat, narrow your knee angle as you use your glutes to lift. And then you lower down. And again, heavy feet, press them away, narrow your knee angle, lengthen your knees over your toes, and lower back down. And one more time, heavy feet, push them away, lengthen your knees, using your glutes to lift. Inhale, and exhale down. Very nice. Good. So take the roller out from underneath and move the roller away. Roll onto your side and bring yourself up to a seated position. So now we're going to put the roller in the middle of your mat. And you can fold your mat over your roller just to stop your roller from sliding. You don't have to do that, but sometimes it just feels good that you don't have to concern yourself about the roller. Once you lie down, you're going to take your hands on the outside of the mat,
lift your hips and pull them out so you're creating a little bit of a hammock. You want to be resting here on the bottom of the shoulder blades, and the focus is getting the scoop through your abdominals. So there's no tension in my neck. Notice my sternum is just reaching forward over my knees. We're going to take your hands behind your thighs, relax your shoulders, take a breath in, and as you exhale, press your hands into your thighs to help create a deep scoop through your abdominals. Then take another breath in. As you exhale, focus on the scoop, drawing your belly to spine. Bring your left leg up and then your right leg up. We're going to create tension by pressing your thighs into your hands and your hands into your thighs. Check that you're relaxed through the shoulders and use that tension of your thighs pressing into your hands to deepen the activation of your abdominals, to deepen the scoop. Take another breath in. As you exhale, confirm the scoop of your abdominals and then release your hands. And can you keep that scoop without your abdominals popping up? Try it again. Hands behind your legs. Press your thighs into your hands into your thighs. Deepen the scoop through your breath. And on your next exhale, release your hands, but keep your scoop. And hold. Now bring your hands down. Keep the scoop through your tummy and start to pump your arms. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Snip. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Your option is to place your feet down on the floor and just focus on that deep, deep scoop through your abdomen. Good. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. No tension in the neck. You can turn your head side to side and snip. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more breath. In. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now pause there as you inhale. Reach your fingertips forward a little bit more. Deepening that contraction, deepening the scoop, and exhale, place your feet down, take your hands behind your head, and just lengthen back. I want to keep my core engaged so my low back stays protected, and I'm just opening up through my spine. Good. You're going to come back up into that scoop. We're going to keep your hands behind your head, but let your head gently lengthen and press back into your hands. We're going to take a little breath in. Bring your left leg up. And again, inhale. And this time as you exhale, you're going to rotate towards your left, but you're just looking down the side of your leg. Relax your shoulders. Kick your leg out. Bring your leg back in and bring it back to center. Again, inhale, rotate to the left. Exhale, deepen your scoop as you kick your leg out. Bring it back in and come back to center. One more time. Inhale, rotate. Hold the scoop, focusing on that sinking of your belly to spine. Bring your leg back in, come back to center, and place your foot down. Right leg comes up. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, kick your right leg out, focusing on the scoop. Bring your leg in and come back to center. We rotate, inhale. Exhale, kick your leg out. Your pelvis is staying centered. Equal weight on the two sides of your pelvis. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, sink belly to spine, kick out. Bring your leg in, come back to center. As you exhale, sink belly to spine, bring your left leg up. We're going to go into our toe taps. Again, just checking in. There's no tension in your neck. If your arms are getting tired, just bring your hands down by your side. That is fine position as well. We're going to take a breath in, and you want to lengthen from the hip. Exhale, contract your abdominals to come back. Inhale, lengthen from your right hip. Exhale, find the scoop to bring the leg up. You want to create that experience as if the activation of your abdominals is creating this weightless motion from your hip. One more each side.
As your leg goes away, keeping your abdominals drawn in. Good work. And one more time, out and bring it in. Now your option is to continue to alternate. You can add load, but make sure you're keeping your abdominals in. We never want to feel any strain in the neck or low back. You slowly lower your legs down, only as far as your stomach stays in, and as you exhale, draw belly to spine. So what matters is that you're keeping that activation of your core, and your legs are only moving as far as you can maintain that. If you take your legs too far out and your tummy pops out, then you've lost the intention of the exercise. 2 more. Lowering the legs down, take a little sniff of air, exhale, contract to bring it up. Inhale here, exhale, belly to spine to lower, breath in, exhale, draw your abdominals to bring it in. Nice work. Bring one leg down, the other leg down, hands behind your legs, roll forward. Open your hips, take your arms up, and relax forward. Relax your shoulders, turn your head side to side. Good. All right. And then up to a seated position. So let's take the mat. We can unfold it here. Good. And then we're going to go into some extension to open up through the front line. So your roller will come down in front. Let's do a little cat stretch just to bridge between flexion and extension. And here we go. As you take a breath in, you're just going to lengthen out. Keep your shoulders easy, just let your spine move. And then as you exhale, round your back to come up. Inhale to take your roller out, to open through your spine. And exhale, rounding up. One more time. Inhale to lengthen out. And exhale to round up. Good. Okay, so now we're going to come down onto our front. You're going to take the roller out and bring the roller to be just above your wrist, just on the forearm side of your wrist. Your shoulders are relaxed, your belly is drawn in, you're gently pressing your pubic bone into the mat, and your legs are reaching long. Let your shoulder blades rise up so you can feel what that feels like. And then gently draw your shoulder blades down where you can get that sense of pressing into the roller. Can you feel your triceps tighten? And can you feel that engagement of the mid-back? Because that's where we're going to move from. Let's do that again. Reach your shoulder blades and ribs up. And then as you draw them down, press down into the roller and see if you can feel that activation in the triceps, mid-back, and your abdominals. So that's our prep. Inhale, reach up. And now this time, as you draw your shoulder blades down and press into the roller, lengthening through your spine, taking your abdominals and ribs with you. Inhale and exhale to lower down. So what's important is that you move in a range that you feel strong in your arms, your back, and your abdominals. No strain in the low back or in your shoulders. So you might find that your best range is just a little lift here, and then you come back down. If you have the strength in your arms and mid-back and abdominals, you can start to lengthen as you come up a little higher. But again, you don't want to feel compression in the low back. So that is what you want to be monitoring, is that you always feel strength versus strain in your body. And then you come forward. And we'll do 2 more. Drawing your shoulder blades down. Press down into the roller to activate triceps, mid-back, and abdominals. Lengthen as you lift. Take a big, beautiful breath of air. And exhale to come forward. You're going to take your hands under your shoulders, push up, and sit back for a shell stretch. And then coming up. So we're going to go into side leg lift. So we're going to bring your roller to the foot side and let your arm just be long under your head. Now we want to be resting more on your thigh than your hip. So you're just going to lift your pelvis and just bring your hip back a little bit so that there's more weight on the thigh than on the hip bone. Next, we want to stack your pelvis. So we can use the roller here. As you reach your foot away, can you feel how your pelvis draws down? And literally you want to feel that the top side of your pelvis is stacked over the bottom side of your pelvis. When that's so, you'll be neutral in your ribs to pelvis, which means your ribs will be on the mat, but your waist will be off the mat. Try that again. Hike your hip up, and then reach your hip down until you can feel the stacking of top hip over bottom hip. Ribs are on the mat, waist is lifted. This arm can come out in front as a little bit of an anchor as you gently tip your pelvis forward. We want to keep your top foot relaxed. We want to get that sense of length coming from the hip out your thigh. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to just lift your leg up off the roller by lengthening it. We're going to pause, take a breath in, check. Are you still stacked in your pelvis and gently rolled forward? Are you lengthening the leg out but keeping your foot relaxed? Lower your leg down and pause. Inhale. As you exhale, check. Are you stacked in your pelvis? Are you rolled forward, lengthening your foot long as you lift your leg? Pause. Check. Are you still stacked? Are you reaching? Are you still rolled? Take a breath. And exhale, come down and pause. Inhale. Exhale, lengthen your leg away as you lift. Take your leg back just a little. Hold it there. Gently rotate your knee towards the floor, moving from your hip, and then rotate to the ceiling, but keeping your pelvis still. So we want to internally rotate and externally rotate. And if you keep your pelvis still, you'll feel that the motion is coming from deep in your glutes and deep in your side hip. So we internally rotate, externally rotate, foot is relaxed, leg is reaching long, keeping your pelvis still and just rotating in your hip. One more time, rotate in and out, come back to parallel and lower down and pause. Check your foot is relaxed, check your stack, check your roll. Inhale. As you exhale, you're going to lengthen your leg as it comes up again. Kick your leg back just a little bit and little lifts. Up, up, up. That's it. And you're lengthening it. And so you put your hand on your side hip and down towards just where your hip and your thigh meet. And that's where we're looking to feel the effort. And we lift for 6 and 5. Find your exhale. 3, 2, and 1. Pause. Take a breath in. If you're in that quiver, you know you're in the work. And then you slowly come down and rest. Bring your leg in. Give that hip a little rub. All right, let's do the other side. So I'm going to change my head in the other direction so that you can still see me. We're going to take your leg on top of the roller. Bottom arm is long. We want to be more on our thigh than our hip. So you can lift your hip and just bring your pelvis back, the bottom hip back a little so that you're more weighted on your side thigh. Then you bring this arm forward, and that helps you to stay a little bit tilted forward. Make sure this leg is in line with your hip or slightly back. And then we just want to do a little bit of this motion where we reach from your hip. You can feel when your ribs are down, but your waist is lifted. The top of your pelvis is stacked over the bottom pelvis. And then just let your pelvis hike up. We don't want to be here when we do the exercise because we're going to end up using more obliques and low back quadratus lumborum. And instead, our intention is that we're working our glutes, our side hip. So finish with the reach. So you've got your stack and your hand is forward, so you're a little bit rolled forward. Foot is relaxed. Inhale. As you exhale, lengthen your foot away, your leg away, as you lift your leg. Pause. Take your leg back just a little. You can feel your hip. Is it open? Inhale and exhale to come down. And pause. Inhale. exhale, reach the roller away from your hip, lift your leg up. Check that your foot is relaxed. You're still stacked and tip slightly forward in your pelvis. Bring your leg down and pause. Again, inhale, exhale, reach your leg away and hold it there. Pelvis stays still. We externally rotate and internally rotate. So it's not a big movement. You can put your hand on your pelvis just to ensure that your pelvis is staying still, but deep in the hip is where you're moving. So we rotate in and we rotate out. Rotate in and we rotate out. 2 more times. Rotate in and out. You're breathing. Your leg is reaching. Come back to parallel and bring your leg down. Inhale. Now we do our pulses. Reach your leg away. Check your stack and roll. Leg comes up. Take your leg back just a little. And now we do small lifts. Check that your foot is relaxed. Your abdominals are engaged. You're reaching your leg long to keep the stack of your pelvis. And we go 6, 5, with your breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Take a breath in. And exhale. Bring it down and bend your leg in. Give that a little rub. Nice work. Doesn't take long to work those, so even if you did those as isolated exercises, they're excellent. All right, we are almost there. Hopefully you're feeling great. We're going to go do a planking exercise, and I love this, using the roller to get into a really deep plank. So you're going to come onto the roller. You want the weight of your pelvis or your pelvic bone on top of the roller. My toes are curled under, my knees are bent for now. Now, important position is the arm. So if I'm starting with my elbow under my shoulder and my hands and forearm are parallel with my shoulder, I want to externally rotate so that I can actually get some lat activation. So you're going to take your forearm and you're just going to open to get the external rotation of the shoulder. And then you're going to pull your elbows and forearms towards you. And see if you can feel that connection in here. It's really quite strong. So you're pulling your elbows, your forearm are wider than your elbows, and now your toes are curled under. You want to lift your abdominals. So can you see how my tailbone to the crown of my head are in the same line? You're going to straighten your knees. Take a breath in. Again, pull your elbows in, draw your abdominals in, and then lift your pelvis. And what you're looking for is that your pelvis is in line with your ribs, which is in line with the crown of your head. Pause, take a breath in, and as you exhale, your pelvis comes down, your knees come down, and you relax. Again, check your arm position. It's not your wrist turn, it's your entire shoulder girdle that's externally rotated, and the result is your forearms are wider than your elbows. Straighten your knees, lift your abdominals, take a breath in. As you exhale, pull your elbows in towards your toes. Lift your hips so that your pelvis is in line with your ribs, which is in line with the crown of your head. As you breathe, you're drawing your abdominals in as you draw your elbows down towards the roller. Another breath in and exhale. Pelvis comes down, knees come down, and pause. Again, draw your elbows into your body. Straighten your arms, push through your forearms, draw your belly to spine. As you exhale, lift your pelvis, pause for breath. In, exhale, pull the elbows down, draw your belly to spine. Do you feel that quiver? If you do, you know you're in it neurologically, and then your pelvis comes down. So now we want to do, it's called 4 for the pattern. So as you exhale, you pull your elbows as you straighten your knees and lift your pelvis all at one time. So inhale, exhale, elbows, legs straighten, pelvis lifts. Draw your belly to spine for another breath in. And as you exhale, pelvis comes down and knees. Again, exhale, elbows, core, legs, hover. Inhale,
exhale, pelvis and down. One more time, inhale, elbows, core, knees, hover, pause, inhale, and exhale, down and rest. Good work. That is a wonderful way to learn the proper alignment for a plank. All right, so we're just going to do one little rotational stretch. So we're going to take the roller in front, and then we're just going to tilt the top of the roller to your right. I'm going to take my right hand on top of the roller, and the intention of this is to get a length in the low back. We're going to reach your arm forward, and as I do this, I want to think more about my ribs expanding, but I'm going to take my hips and I'm going to gently direct them in the opposite direction so that the length comes into the right side of my body. Pause, take a breath, and exhale to come up. And again, as you go, your arm is directing traffic for your ribs. Allow the ribs to expand. Gently let your pelvis sit a little to the opposite direction and lengthen through the right side. And come up. So we're going to change to the other direction with your roller. You're going to put your left hand on top. Right hand is just easy. As we take the roller away, I'm letting my ribs expand, but I want to take my hips and just let them sit a little bit over into my right heel. Take a breath in and exhale, come up. Inhale, exhale, left arm lengthens forward. Focus more on the arm, bringing your ribs with that. Let your hip gently side bend over as your hips sit back. Breath in. And exhale to come up. Good. Well, I hope that felt good. Thank you for staying and playing with me and the foam roller. If you have any questions, you can just leave some comments below. And we will see you next time. Thank you.